There is one word that can shift your mind when life feels heavy. One word that can interrupt fear. One word that can pull you out of frustration, anxiety, and lack. One word that can change the way you see your problems before the problems even change. That word is gratitude. Most people underestimate gratitude because they think it is just saying thank you. But gratitude is deeper than politeness. Gratitude is a spiritual posture. It is a mental reset. It is the moment you stop giving all your attention to what is missing and start recognizing what is already present. And that shift can change everything. Because when life becomes difficult, the natural reaction is to focus on the problem. You focus on the bill. You focus on the delay. You focus on the relationship that is hurting. You focus on the opportunity that did not come. You focus on what you lost. You focus on what has not happened yet. And the more you focus on the problem, the bigger it becomes in your mind. Not always because the problem is growing, but because your attention is feeding it. Your mind starts repeating the same story. I do not have enough. I am behind. Nothing is working. Why is this happening to me? And slowly, your energy changes. Your attitude changes. Your confidence weakens. Your peace disappears. You begin to live from lack instead of faith. But gratitude interrupts that pattern. Gratitude says, wait, before I complain about what is missing, let me recognize what is still here. I still have breath. I still have another day. I still have a mind that can think. I still have a body that can move. I still have lessons from the past. I still have people who care. I still have opportunities I have not seen yet. I still have God working in ways I do not understand. That is not denial. That is alignment. Gratitude does not mean you pretend the problem is not real. It means you refuse to let the problem become your entire reality. There is a difference. A person without gratitude sees one difficulty and forgets every blessing. A person with gratitude sees difficulty and still remembers, my life is bigger than this moment. That is power. Because the mind cannot stay trapped in complaint while it is sincerely practicing gratitude. Complaint pulls you into lack. Gratitude pulls you into awareness. Complaint says nothing is enough. Gratitude says there is still something to build from. Complaint weakens your spirit. Gratitude strengthens your perspective. And sometimes the breakthrough does not begin when the situation changes. Sometimes the breakthrough begins when your mind changes. When you stop staring at what is wrong long enough to remember what is still right. Look at nature. Everything moves with rhythm. The sun rises. The seasons change. The trees release their leaves and grow again. A flower unfolds quietly, without panic, without forcing, without fear. Nature does not rush. Nature does not complain. Nature does not doubt the process. And yet, everything grows in its time. There is wisdom in that. Because many people are frustrated not because life is empty, but because they have lost awareness of the beauty already around them. They are surrounded by gifts, but obsessed with gaps. They have blessings, but their attention is locked on burdens. They have progress, but they only see what is unfinished. They have survived things they once thought would destroy them, but they rarely stop to say, thank you. Thank you for strength. Thank you for protection. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the people who stayed. Thank you for the doors that closed because they were not right for me. Thank you for the pain that taught me wisdom. Thank you for the delay that built patience. Thank you for the struggle that developed my character. This is how gratitude transforms your life. It turns memory into wisdom. It turns pain into perspective. It turns ordinary moments into sacred moments. It turns what you have into enough to begin again. And when your inner world begins to shift, your outer world often begins to look different too. Not because everything changed instantly, but because you are no longer looking through the eyes of lack. You are looking through the eyes of awareness. The same life can feel completely different when viewed through gratitude. A simple meal becomes provision. A quiet morning becomes peace. A difficult lesson becomes growth. A closed door becomes protection. A slow season becomes preparation. A breath becomes a gift. That is why gratitude is so powerful. It brings your mind back into order. When your thoughts are chaotic, gratitude gives them direction. When fear is loud, gratitude brings you back to truth. When life feels unfair, gratitude reminds you that there is still grace. And when you feel overwhelmed, gratitude gives you one place to start. Start with what you still have. Start with what is still working. Start with what you have already overcome. Start with the blessings you forgot to notice. Because whatever you focus on expands in your awareness. If you focus only on lack, lack becomes your world. If you focus only on problems, problems become your identity. If you focus only on fear, fear becomes your master. But if you focus on gratitude, your spirit begins to rise. You begin to think differently. You begin to speak differently. You begin to move differently. You stop approaching life as a victim. You start approaching life as someone who is still blessed, still guided, still capable, and still growing. And this is where everything changes. Because gratitude does not just make you feel better, it makes you stronger. A grateful person is harder to break, because even in difficulty, they can find something that keeps them standing. A grateful person is harder to discourage, because they remember previous victories. A grateful person is harder to manipulate, because they are not controlled by constant lack. A grateful person is harder to defeat, because they understand that even pain can become fuel. So here is the practice. When life feels heavy, stop for a moment. Do not immediately react. Do not immediately complain. Do not immediately let your mind spiral. Pause, take a breath, and name 5 things you are grateful for. Not general things, specific things. The bed you slept in, the person who checked on you, the lesson that made you wiser, the chance to try again, the strength you still have. Write them down. Say them out loud. Let your own ears hear your gratitude, because sometimes your soul needs to hear truth spoken from your own mouth. I am grateful for what I have. I am grateful for what I have survived. I am grateful for what I am learning. I am grateful for what is coming. I am grateful because my story is not over. Do this every day, not only when life is easy, especially when life is hard. Because gratitude practiced only in comfort is appreciation, but gratitude practiced in difficulty is strength. That is when it becomes powerful. That is when it becomes spiritual discipline. That is when it becomes a weapon against despair. You may not be able to control every circumstance, but you can control where you place your attention. You can control what you magnify. You can control whether your mind lives in complaint or gratitude. And every day you are choosing one. So choose gratitude. Choose to see what remains. Choose to honor what is good. Choose to recognize the blessings that have been hidden in plain sight. Choose to stop feeding the problem with all your energy. Choose to give your mind something higher to hold on to. Because the moment gratitude enters, darkness loses some of its power. The moment gratitude enters, fear becomes quieter. The moment gratitude enters, your heart begins to open again. And when your heart opens, life begins to flow differently. So today, before you ask for more, pause and appreciate what is already here. Before you complain about what is missing, remember what has been provided. Before you say nothing is working, look again. There is still grace. There is still strength. There is still possibility. There is still breath in your body. And as long as there is breath, there is still a reason to be grateful. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, "I choose gratitude." Let that be your declaration today. Like this video if you are ready to stop feeding fear and start training your mind to see blessings again. Subscribe for more messages that renew your mindset, strengthen your spirit, and help you rise above negativity. And share this video with someone who has been overwhelmed by problems, because sometimes one reminder can shift a person's entire day. Remember this: gratitude does not ignore reality. Gratitude changes how you stand inside reality. It lifts your mind, it strengthens your spirit, and brings you back into alignment. And it reminds you that even now, even here, even before everything is perfect, you still have something to be thankful for.